And now we have Fireside chat, and may I request Mr. Vasant Subramanyan, founder and CEO, Last Peak Group, Mr. Kunal Shah, founder, Freecharge.in, and Pallav, co-founder, Fusioncharts, to please come up on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, warm round of applause to this wonderful panel.
Good evening, everybody. So we've had a long day of deliberations, lots of products. We've got the fabulous Fireside chat now with two sparkling entrepreneurs. They don't really need an introduction, so I'm not going to waste time on that. But before I go on to deep into this chat, I wanted a little bit of a reaction from the audience today. Do you want something which is, sugar-coated? Or do you want something which is, let's get rid of all the flim-flam, let's get rid of all the niceties, and let's talk about what entrepreneurs are about. So I'd like a show of hands on this, please. I don't want it just to be the one person. Fireworks? Fireworks on the Fireside?
You guys asked for it, okay? Remember
okay,
that.
So this is a no-holds-barred session, all right? So we don't assure you that you'll be entertained, but we will assure you that you'll be engaged. And you brought this upon yourself, so then don't turn around and say that, I feel victimized or whatever. You got it coming. So without any further ado, let's start.
And I hope your ears like French.
Okay, it's going to be one of those evenings. Okay, great. So, just before I came up here, we were having a little bit of an informal kind of a meeting among the three of us. And we were deciding that, what do we need to talk about? If you got to go and see about the resumes of these gentlemen, what they've done, Google's there. There are lots of feeds which you can, suck in and hoover on for days, get inspired. But I wanted to change the format a bit. We've had enough of, the grandstanding, etc. I really wanted to delve deep into what is the different styles of entrepreneurship that are there. What is entrepreneurship all about? Is it about me? Is it about you? Is it about you? What is it that makes us all tick? What is it that makes us successful? What do we learn? So very quickly, Mr. 2,500 crore man.
Doesn't matter, right?
Who gives a bleep? When you're making that much, who gives a bleep, right?
Sure. So,
yeah.
I think founders are a unique breed. And I think one thing that needs to go very quickly in the guys who want to be successful, especially in India, is get rid of all these niceties that we deal with in this country, right? I have been known at going to these startup accelerator events and all these events, and 50% of people drop what they're doing and stop doing their startup because I give them frank feedback. They hate it at that point of time, but they love it afterwards because they realize how stupid they were. We in this country are factories of sugarcoating, right? We just love to sugarcoat, right? I think you should look at how much we like sugar in that state to know kitna sugarcoat karenge, right? So if your state has a lot of sweets, please know there's a lot of sugar coating also that is supplied along with it. So that's the difference between East and West.
Just to hold you back for a very, very quick moment here, do you think it's really, one of the things that comes to mind is, are we in an enabling environment where people, want to protect us and envelop us, starting with our parents, then our colleagues, then our teachers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me protect you from the weird, wild world out there.
Yeah, we are a extremely pretentious country. Right? We are absolutely dishonest with ourselves, and we love to say the nice things. हाँ ठीक है बेटा कुछ नहीं ये तो उसका देखो उसका भी वो हुआ था. We are not brutal about things. We are not giving honest feedback. One thing I remember.
Just quickly drawing you back to how does this reflect on your style of entrepreneurship?
Very simple, right? Don't let these false things fool you, right?
So stop being the mithai wala, become the
Absolutely.
Become the samosa guy.
Be it for your employees, your co-founder, your team members, just say it as it is, right? Don't sugarcoat it. Don't let yourself. I'll tell you, when you say the same thing 10 times, which is wrong, it becomes true in your mind also.
I read from of course, from the resources on you that, you used to run a BPO, right? So you had people where you had to build this entire aura of structure, of working together, of politeness, of probably taking the ball to the next level without dropping it, etc. And having all the political correctness to have a large workforce together. You've got a significantly smaller workforce now, don't you?
Yeah.
So how do you justify how you changed?
So when I was doing BPO, I realized that I was adding no value whatsoever. When I was running a BPO, it was only a proud thing to say that I have these 1,000 employees or 2,000 employees.
Okay, I'm going to hold you there now. I'm going to hold you there now and I'm going to get a retort from him. Building value, bringing value. Tell us about your story about that.
Value in what sense?
Whichever sense. I mean, where do you feel you brought value?
So
forget about the money you made for yourself, right?
Correct. So to myself, I brought value in terms of building that money and that satisfaction. In terms of team, at least giving them an opportunity to be able to say, you know what, we are working in a product company from Calcutta. That was the only value. Beyond that, the only sense of value that I would think is, how many entrepreneurs did I create in future from my own company? Other than that, I don't have a metric for value. Is value paying their salary? No, they can get better somewhere else. If I'm enabling them, so there's a very famous saying, if a man is hungry and you give him fish for a day, you just solved his hunger for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you just solved his problem of hunger for a lifetime. So that's the thing about creating value in terms of enabling.
So in effect, you want to be the gift that keeps on giving?
Absolutely. I hope I would be that. Are we doing enough today? Definitely not on that.
Don't you think there's a little bit of sugar on that?
Nope. Why not? So very simple thing is today when somebody leaves us, we have a very simple question. If you're leaving us to go join another company, please don't. If you're leaving to go build your own thing, how much money do you want? And that's what we do for them.
Your take on that, Kunal?
I think what he's saying is absolutely right. What people should realize very soon is that the future of building product companies is not about having hundreds of people, right? At Freecharge, at the time of exit, the total amount of people which were non-customer support was 80, right? And in my view, it should have been 50. We probably had 30 more people than what we should be having. And I think the way you do this is that you don't solve for quantities, right? One thing false metric we look at is आपकी company में कितने लोग काम करते हैं, right? Who cares? Like you should stop caring about that. But we have this whole thing that if somebody comes to office,
you say who cares. So is the who Kunal is the who the entrepreneur, or how do you define?
Actually,
that?
nobody cares. It's in our mind that people care. Right? We think that, okay, if I say...
we take a very quick feedback here from the audience. Do you care of working your own company, having 50 or 20 employees, or do you want to be part of a 5,000 person group? Let's just get a quick dipstick poll. Smaller the better? Any other ideas? Come on, guys. Large? Who cares?
My experience has told me that surveys are the worst methods to get any research data out.
Fantastic. Great. I was waiting for something coming. I was just trying to provoke something like that from you.
Sure.
Right, because you got to be contrarian, and I think that is what entrepreneurship is all about, is being contrarian, not caring about what people say. So let's move on to the next phase of this entire fireside chat. What do you think makes an entrepreneur's style unique?
I think his upbringing, most importantly. What was the biggest adversity he faced in life? So if you, as a child, you were bullied, and every single time you're facing an adversity in your entrepreneurship journey, this flashback of that memory is so strong that it keeps pushing you ahead, and you're thinking, you know what, if I could overcome that, I have to do something better than that to prove myself over and over again. So that moment of adversity, that one flash in your mind, which is relentless, which gives you the tenacity.
So you told me a short while ago that you play poker. How many times did you lose at poker?
A lot. Almost, I would say, 80% of the time that I've played.
That makes you a pretty big loser.
But poker is not about how many times did you lose. It's about how much money did you lose. So in that 20% of time, how much did you win is the right question.
You pick your losses and you pick your wins, right? You go after the big ones. My view is that you are not supposed to worry about this. I think every successful journey...
Don't give me that. Don't give me the karmic story, please.
No, it's not karmic story. I don't believe in it. I'm a graduate in philosophy. I'm not giving you a karmic story, right? I can tell you one thing, that every successful entrepreneur goes through a journey of 100 slaps. Okay? Now, you have to be very lucky to get them very early in life. If you get too late in life, you have no scope of changing, right? And you're almost set in your path and you cannot handle those slaps later in life, right? I see so many entrepreneurs like, woo, suddenly kuch hua or some external dynamic changed and my company crumbled. Dude, you were not the one who faced all these slaps early on in life. You learned how to handle these slaps. What happens is, a lot of times, we are just kind of protected, and we also become very protective, right? We are not disrupting our own businesses. I find Indian entrepreneurs treat their companies like, I don't know, they should treat them like their daughter, but they treat them like their wife, right? And they're like, oh, no, I will not let somebody else run it. I will decide what has to be done, all of that. But you let your daughter go to a school, to college, to marry someone or whatever. You just have to know the difference between that. I see most of the times we are too attached and cannot see flaws. There is one thing about love, is that it makes you foolish about not being able to see flaws on its own. You have to also know that you are the one who's running it, but also distance yourself to be able to see what kind of fuck-ups are happening on that.
So, love your company, but don't fall in love with it.
Always be in love of being successful, not with your own idea. It doesn't matter if the idea like totally backfired.
So if you, for example, were to walk in another entrepreneur's shoes, do you think it'll be a fit?
Why should I need to have to walk in another entrepreneur's shoes?
This is just a hypothetical question. We're testing theories here.
So but there's no definition of an entrepreneur shoe, right? So even every single day when you wake up, am I the same entrepreneur that I was yesterday? Definitely no. Am I a very different one from what I was 1 year ago? Absolutely. Every single day you wake up and you realize what you did wrong yesterday and you are a different shoe altogether. So, and that's a part of the journey, right? So which is why we always say it's not a destination. And me and Kunal were just having this discussion that, hey, you know what? Hey, you got an exit, how does it feel? He says, I feel hollow because now the destination is gone. For him, it was about destination. For me, it's about the journey. You keep on learning, keep on doing things. And you said, I'm a compulsive gambler, a poker player, right? Every single thing, every single decision you take as part of your business, that's a gamble, informed decision. 80% of the time you may lose, but the 20% that you win is what gives you the high, what gives you the kick to be able to go and take other bets.
So what's the as we were talking about, what's the one of the takeaways? Go big or go home?
I think there's only one universal.
I think that's what he did, right? Go big or go home.
What's the purpose of existing? Like,
oh my God.
Why should you exist?
When you have a philosophy guy in
it's
the
not
room.
that. I don't think I have I had the same view. You have to be like a heat-seeking missile, right? It will probably hit the target or die. It will not just exist, float around in the air, hoping for something to happen, right? You have to be a heat-seeking missile and go hit your journey. The only thing is, once you hit it, you don't know what to do. Then you find another target, hopefully.
Yeah, okay. So I guess that's the difference between being an entrepreneur and a serial entrepreneur. So where do you feel that you're going into that phase where you turn from entrepreneur to serial entrepreneur?
I mean, this is not my first company. I have done many successful and failed startups. The only thing I can tell you that the high of doing something like this is an addiction, right? And it keeps you going. Nothing will replace the high of building a large company, right? Nothing else can replace that. So the only thing you have to do is keep doing that. I mean, I meet so many people who have exited.
But isn't that paradoxical? Because you just said that it doesn't matter what size is. So didn't you just contradict yourself here for a moment?
No. I did not. I'm just saying that once you get that high, you just keep doing that. If you ask an entrepreneur, "Ab kya karoge? Chill karoge?" I can tell you one thing: they have forgotten how to chill. They don't know how to chill, right? They are so used to the pain of going through that they seek again and again the same pain.
So entrepreneurship equals sadism in some form or style.
If you want to call it that, yeah, sure. I would call it more cooler name, but yeah, let's go with that.
What's your take on that, Pallav?
So on the serial entrepreneur, I think I have a different definition. What defines a serial entrepreneur? You sold a company and then you come to others, so what changed? The team, the product? What if I say within the same company, you change, you create a new product, you create a new team, you go to different customer. Why is that not serial entrepreneurship? Why are we so fixated on the fact that, you need to get an exit? Entrepreneurship is not about, building a company, selling it. It's about, are we having fun doing it? It's every single day you are testing yourself. After a point in time, we don't need to work 18 hours a day. We want to, we love it. Like the lesser sleep we get, the better it is for us. We don't work for money anymore. It's the constant feeling of taking that gamble, proving yourself right. Every single time you prove yourself right, that high is way different than anything else. So the definition of serial entrepreneurship is kind of broken in my mind because it's very, very fixated on that public event, on a logical exit, and then you get a fresh start. What's a fresh start?
So a fresh start, obviously in your case, is a new one every day, whatever you choose to be.
You can build new teams, you can build new products, you can go to new frontiers, you can open new offices, you can go across continents, you can have yourself replaced by your CEO, you can get group CEOs. Every single thing in business is a variable. You can change at your whim and at your fancy.
In some form or style.
If you want to call it that, yeah, sure. I would call it more cooler name, but yeah, let's go with that.
What's your take on that, Pallav?
So on the serial entrepreneur, I think I have a different definition. What defines a serial entrepreneur? You sold a company and then you come to others, so what changed? The team, the product? What if I say within the same company, you change, you create a new product, you create a new team, you go to different customer. Why is that not serial entrepreneurship? Why are we so fixated on the fact that, you need to get an exit? Entrepreneurship is not about, building a company, selling it. It's about, are we having fun doing it? It's every single day you are testing yourself. After a point in time, we don't need to work 18 hours a day. We want to, we love it. Like the lesser sleep we get, the better it is for us. We don't work for money anymore. It's the constant feeling of taking that gamble, proving yourself right. Every single time you prove yourself right, that high is way different than anything else. So the definition of serial entrepreneurship is kind of broken in my mind because it's very, very fixated on that public event, on a logical exit, and then you get a fresh start. What's a fresh start?
So a fresh start, obviously in your case, is a new one every day, whatever you choose to be.
You can build new teams, you can build new products, you can go to new frontiers, you can open new offices, you can go across continents, you can have yourself replaced by your CEO, you can get group CEOs. Every single thing in business is a variable. You can change at your whim and at your fancy.
Okay. Coming back to you, Kunal, there's a very distinct difference between your line of business and the people you sold out to. So where do you think that little bit of a wall stands, and do you think it makes or breaks you? Or?
I don't think we are in different businesses. We all are in the business to sell something to a customer. It's just that Snapdeal was selling something else and we were selling something else, but people were buying, right? And buyers are the same, right? And if we can figure out a way to sell A to B and B to A, it's an interesting thing to go after. In fact, if you look at a big store, it means it's not that they don't sell bread and milk, right? Bread and milk, which keeps bringing customers in, but you can upsell probably a bed sheet to them because they'll keep coming regularly for getting their milk. It's a very logical thing if you think about it. The only thing is a lot of times these things are not obvious when they are not at scale, right? And when we started Recharge as a business, people thought कि यार prepaid तो driver use करते हैं, but we used to say that, oh, in that case, why are smartphone users also 95% prepaid, right? That doesn't make sense because that's not the mix. So people make these assumptions too quickly, too early. You have to prove them wrong through data, right? And spend a lot of time building it. One thing I have learned is that India is all about building copy-paste businesses, mostly when it comes to consumer internet products, right? Because we do not have the conviction of knowing that I think Indian consumer will behave this way. Freecharge is probably one of the few companies built on an original Indian idea, right? Otherwise, everything is either Uber of India or Amazon of India or Alibaba of India or something of India, right? Not Freecharge of India, which doesn't have a parallel.
Do you think that's a reflection, a shadowy reflection of capital which drives entrepreneurship to the next level?
Unfortunately.
Do they look for the safe shores? Do they look for a model which they experienced before, which has worked in other
geographies? Yes, but the only thing is anything that is safe shore. For example, there are at least 500 hyper-local companies in the last 6 months in this country because somehow investors like that space. Suddenly there are 500. In Recharge category, we do not have a competition for 3 years because nobody believed in this category. So I think there's also a merit to saying that nobody is putting money on this. We did not announce our investment for 8 months after getting the money. People announce before they get it also, a lot of times, right? It's about what you want to call it. For me, it was I was very happy that not a single e-commerce report covered the category of recharge or bill payments. I was very, very happy when it used to happen that, because I had all the time to build this when everybody was busy selling t-shirts.
So not skating where the puck is could be a solution for disruption. What's your take on that, Pallav?
Depends, again, on the perspective. There's no right or wrong answer. So a lot of people come to events like this expecting a right or wrong answer. Entrepreneurship is not about that. There's no right answer. We cannot lay anything on a platter for you and say, you know what, this is the right thing. If you ask me personally, not skating where the puck is could be risky. But how do we measure it? Are we going to have fun or not? If you're going to have fun, just go do it. So, for example, you talked about capital, right? I don't like to gamble with somebody else's money. I can't put my heart behind it. I don't have conviction. I like to gamble with my own money, which is where we said, you know what, we're not going to skate where the puck is. That's why we are bootstrapped. If you think of the people who are putting money in all of these things, their roti kapda makan is fulfilled. Now they have to gamble somewhere. So it's a series of gambling events which keeps on growing and growing and growing, and somehow it converges all together. So you have to look at it from a very different perspective of things and then take a call. So what is defined as standard terms ki, hey, you know what, let's go raise capital, or let's go call him a serial entrepreneur, or let's call him A, B, and C, and we bucketed him and we create constructs around that. If you go a level below that, the basic psychological construct, it just starts emerging more and more clear, and ultimately it boils down to very, very simple things.
How much of ego comes into play being an entrepreneur?
I would say a lot of confidence comes into play. A lot of time it is misunderstood as ego. I can tell you that entrepreneurs have to act very differently at different times, right? They have to be extremely pessimistic when they are alone, or when they are with few people that they trust. They have to be extremely optimistic when they go out on the floor and talk to the team and investors, right? And they have to coexist in the same hour probably sometimes, right? In terms of ego, I think building anything big requires a lot of irrational confidence, right? And I think universe is pretty easily balanced. There is some guy who's kind to push it and disturb the whole fabric of things. That can only happen when he has the confidence. He's not waiting for somebody's validation. Ki, haan, sahi hai beta, theek kar rahe ho. Nobody. If you start caring about everything, I can tell you, you cannot make any difference, right? It is extremely important to be somewhat abnormal.
I think contrary to the ego, entrepreneurship is the most humbling experience ever. Yep. Like right from your office security to your vendor, to your employee, to every single person, you have to ensure their needs are met first before your needs are met. You can't be an arrogant prick.
But isn't that a bit of a God principle?
Normal life before I was an entrepreneur? Hell no. So definitely from a first principle, I was such an arrogant prick before I became an entrepreneur. And every single year I feel I am humbled, and I'm humbled.
Now he's become good at hiding that part.
Okay, so tell us a little about your great snap, or the snap of Obama using your product. I know that's a story that you're told often, but just to share with the audience. And then we'll come back to the ego part.
Okay, so I was out partying in some nightclub here in Calcutta. Was out with friends, had a few drinks, came over. Suddenly I come back and see an email. Somebody had sent me a snap from my network saying that, hey, that's Barack Obama using your product. And there was a blog link below it written by Tim O'Reilly, who's the famous author of O'Reilly Publications. Went to the White House website, first confirmed his Obama, then confirmed it's our charts, then confirmed it's not Photoshop, then pulled off my contact list, copy-pasted that photo, sent it to everybody on my list. I was so exuberant. That's the story.
So what did that do for your ego?
That did not do anything for my ego. That gave me the biggest joy, the highest high I have felt in a long time. And from multiple aspects, that first question was, wow, how the hell did this happen? B, what did we do to make it happen? C, can we do it again? The third part, can we do it again, was the ego breaker. Whatever we do, we can't do it again because it's serendipity. I can't pay Obama $1 million to get that photo again. Which is why I insured multiple times before sending to my list.
Well, have you had any of these epiphanous moments in your tenure?
Yeah, I think what starts happening is I believe growth is a drug, and drug that drives you, your team, your investors, and everybody. everybody in our team remembers the day when they joined because they remember the number of transactions we used to do that day. And everybody says, I was here when there was 5,000 transactions a day. One guy says there was 1 lakh transactions a day or whatever. And because the graph has only been one way, everybody remembers and has a proud thing to say that I've been there from this time. Every time you do something, and then people have these kind of conversations, they don't remember the employee ID, but they remember the scale and size of the company that they joined at. It's a big, proud moment for us. Another thing is, when you are creating these things where you call it ego, I think what ego does is blocks your ability to learn. Right? What you'll find in most successful entrepreneurs, they're constantly seeking new information to invalidate their theories. Right? They're looking for constantly answers to solve massive puzzles, right? And a lot of time these questions, if were discussed in open, will sound absolutely irrational. You're like, ये Pallav ऐसा question पूछता है और Kunal ऐसा question पूछता है. Often you will find that no, we have the most basic questions time to time, and the thing is, the humbling part of the whole thing is that we are still able to ask those questions. Right? Constantly. We may not be able to ask in a public forum because we may not have the quality of response that we need, but you will see this in the successful entrepreneurs that the ego does not come in their way, right? At least the first gen entrepreneurs I have seen a lot, that they are absolutely having no ego. They're actually pretty shameless. Absolutely shameless, right? They ask questions, they seek feedback. They may not do anything about it, by the way, right? But they are constantly seeking contrarian views, pivoting, trying things, failing miserably, and constantly changing and evolving. I can tell you one thing, every entrepreneur I meet every year, they are different people. You meet them last year and you meet them after that, they change. And that's the fun part about this.
So change, always change. Pallav?
Change is the only constant. There's no denying that. If you're not changing, think of it very simple way. How soon does technology get obsolete? Every 3 months, 6 months. How soon does a new paradigm come? Another 3-6 months. If you're not constantly catching up, if you're not constantly doing something which nobody else has done. So for example, Kunal said he did not announce his funding till 8 months. He was scared. If he announced earlier, somebody would catch up with him, maybe raise more funding, copy it. He wanted to have that leap, the moat around, that even if somebody hears and catches him, he's far ahead. But still then we have to change. Yeah.
So run fast, run in the dark?
Absolutely. If there was light, then somebody else has done before you. Then what are you doing?
That's almost like Velociraptor philosophy, isn't it?
Sorry, whose philosophy?
Velociraptor.
Okay,
Come
never
on.
heard of it.
Just seen Jurassic Park and all that. You know what a Velociraptor is, right? The finest killing machines.
Okay.
How much of that killing spirit is there in an entrepreneur?
Till the point he has fun again. Again, you will have ups, you'll have downs. When you are in your up period, you're super.
Tell me about killing spirit. How aggressive are you on that?
On what parameter?
Everything, your business.
Minus the Rakhi Sawant part of it, yes. So I think it also differs from time to time, how aggressive you are. So there are days where you wake up and you're saying, today I'm going to change the world. And then there are days where you're feeling really low, bunch of things did not work. You say, let's get more slightly sober up. And then you start thinking about more the median path across days. So overall, at the end of, let's say, a few months, the sum will always be towards the aggressive. But there will always be days of ups and downs in that way.
So bouncing this off you, do you think entrepreneurs are basically schizophrenics? I mean,
they have to be.
They've got so many personalities.
They have to
rolling
be.
Under the surface.
They have to be.
It's certifiable nut jobs, right?
Absolutely. And they are very good at hiding that too. The point is, we are living in a world where the shelf life of business has shrunk to nothing. Okay? The old world was where movies would run for a golden jubilee and matches would be for 5 days. Now we have T20s and we have weekend movies. Right? All business models are going through the exact same thing. If you are not fast enough, right, nobody is going to give you a chance to do golden jubilee on anything. In fact, you have to kill your own business model time to time before somebody else will come and just take one string and it'll come crumbling down. Right? We need to be absolutely paranoid when it comes to shifting the business model, because the shelf life of every business is thing. Means look at something like Apple Music, right? Comes, boom, it says 120 rupees per month, 30, 40 million tracks a day. All the guys who build music businesses, boom, gone. Look at their business plan. They were looking like death-proof, bulletproof business plans. Gone, right? Were they paranoid about this? Yes. Did they do anything about it? No. Right? Look at every industry, right? The amount of changes that are happening around us, we don't even realize that consumers are changing faster than we are changing, right? Our customers are evolving at a much faster pace because they have this magic wand called a smartphone that they get answers to very, very quickly about everything. We say, नहीं, लोग कहाँ change होंगे? ये आदत है, कुछ आदत नहीं है. In fact, there are two types of companies. One is this whole uncle companies. I call them uncle companies because they're stuck in the uncle mode of operations, right? And there are these young companies, right? We make joke about Rahul Yadav, right? For whatever happened at the end of it, look at what he did in the few years that he existed. And what he did, what impact did he do? Yes, it's not a final great outcome, but I can tell you that there'll be at least 100 great startups that will come out of housing. Because this one guy inspired a lot of people. I'm just saying that the shelf life of the niceties and all of that is over. I have known Rahul Yadav personally much before housing. He used to run a company called Recharge 123, which was an offline Freecharge. He met me and he showed me a presentation which made a joke of Freecharge to me. Like this is bullshit, right? And I could accept that because I was like, good, tell me what do I need to change. The thing is that the younger generation are so damn smart, right? They're going to disrupt.
Generation. May I ask how old you are?
I am 35, I'm the oldest in the company.
And you talk about the younger generation?
They are right now 18, 19, 20, and they are dramatically smarter than all the 35-year-olds.
That's scary stuff, isn't it? I mean,
we were born. When I was in my 12th standard, I had a dial-up internet. When they were born, they bloody had a full-speed smartphone on their hand. Like, what do you expect?
So when you look at this entire paradigm, technology relentlessly pushing, where does it leave investors? I mean, we've got investors in this room as well. Wouldn't they be scratching their heads when you talk like this? And what is happening to the standard traditional models?
I call them opportunities, right? Everything is going to get disrupted, get on early, and the probability of something becoming massive is huge now, right? It's not disconnected. There is no east-west. North India, right? Look at a guy who's 15-year-old in India or US. They are the same. They watch the same viral videos. They use the same WhatsApp and same Facebook. They read the same content, right? It is going to become one world very, very soon, right? All these cultural biases that we have are going to disappear very, very soon. Look at their language, how they talk. Look at their chat language. You will not understand anything about it, right? And they speak the same way. Right? Everybody, I can tell you that in India, there is a 10 to 14-year-old who's the chief technology officer of your house, who tells you कौन सा app करना है, कौन सा game करना है, कौन सा video उधर से pirate करके Game of Thrones कैसे देखना है. They know everything. And we actually ask them, अच्छा ये कैसे करते हैं? And then quietly, do it quietly on the thing. They are already driving technology in houses. And they are dramatically smart, right? I can tell you one thing, that when I meet 12-year-olds, I don't play any games with them. I only play the IQ game with them because there is a hope that I will win on that one, right? Every other game I lose with them.
Yeah, I know. The only one I win with my children is probably on a good day is Words with Friends. And I'm told they're cheat apps for that as well, and they use that try to smack me down on that. So you've got shrinking cycles for reaping a harvest on capital deployed, and then you got models like you where you do changes on an ongoing basis. So how do these two coexist? I mean, you've got a different model. How does it coexist with Kunal's philosophy? I mean, they do because you guys are there.
Okay, so that also depends on the entrepreneur's appetite, right? Somebody can call us, hey, you know what, you guys are so slow, you could have gone ahead and captured the world, so on and so forth. But do I want to be the guy working for a banker? Definitely no. I want to work for myself, and that's my point of view, which I'm very clear about. Maybe in my industry, I have the luxury of not having to raise capital, and where the most important capital is IP, people, so on and so forth. Whereas in a consumer space, the most important thing could be capital. You are either number one or you are dead. Not in my industry. Number one is not the metric of capital. How innovative you are. That's the only metric that we have. So it's so easy to coexist right now, and that should not even be a perspective to look at. So when somebody asks, like, what are the bad questions to ask to a product entrepreneur? How many employees do you have? How many offices do you have? Are you funded or not? These metrics do not matter anymore. Each successful product company has a success metric, and that success metric is not always revenue. That success metric could be completely different, which has value for both the employees, which the employees recognize, the founder recognizes, and the customer recognizes. Most of us don't have that success metric defined when we start that company, and understanding just that fundamental success metric is the most important part where all of these converge.
So, as always, entrepreneurs start off with an idea, with a dream, etc. They probably wouldn't know success if it came and bit them in the posterior.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of it. And once you have had that success, you are craving for a bigger one. But once you are trying to create a pattern, so when you're individual, your first success metric is, for example, me, the first success metric was, hey, you know what, let's go and get some pocket money. My first target was 5,000 rupees a month. Once I got 5,000 rupees a month, in the first month itself, I'm like, okay, 5,000 तो आ गए, अब क्या करना है? चलो 10,000 डालते हैं. Second month, 10,000 से 40,000 हो गए. Third month, 40,000 से 1 लाख हो गए.
You're playing double or quits. You're playing double or quits. I mean, that's what
Correct.
you're doing.
But after a point in time, then you realize ki, okay, this part is satisfied. There's no metric that you can chase here, which is why I said revenue can't be a success metric. Then what are you chasing? Then the metric which became successful for me is how many customers can I get? Then I started adding 4, 5, 10 customers a day. Then suddenly I realized that, you know what, even this is easy. What is another metric I can chase? How many countries can I go to? Then the metric became how many billion charts am I powering every single day, not every single month. Then the success metric would become something else. Now the success metric is, hey, you know what, we built a B2B business. Can we build a B2C business? So there's always something else you're chasing. There's always something else which keeps you up, which keeps you really thinking and driving you towards it. So, and that keeps on changing.
Your take on that?
It's very simple. It's like a game, right? Anybody who's played a game will say level 1, level 2, level 100 will be easy. You have to define your levels and push yourself. Say, no, level 3 मुझे बहुत अच्छा आता है, मैं वही खेलते रहूँगा, right?
So the level 3 is the uncle company.
Yeah. You are going to die and you are going to bore everybody who works with you in level 3, right?
So
you have to push yourself. That
so level 3 would typically be your uncle company.
I don't know. I mean, every company is ripe for disruption constantly, right? If you are not thinking about how you will disrupt yourself, somebody else definitely is. Right? And I can tell you one thing, that when you create this particular thing, that no, you chase the next level of game. I mean, he defined his game levels already, right? He discovered his next, maybe he defined his own game levels. I think we need to keep pushing for that. If we don't do that, right, I can tell you one thing, the stagnation is usually a very scary thing. We don't know what hit us. Because we are so comfortable playing this level 3, palum pada game ही change हो गया. मैं तो वही level पे अटक गया. Right?
Okay, on that very happy note, I'd like to throw open for questions from the floor. Please be brief, and we want questions. We don't want your take on what they said. They've talked a lot, so please be brief. Offline questions? You run out of time?
We're running on Thailand standard time right now, right? Not Indian standard time
Okay,
anymore.
I'm very sorry. We had to call an end to that there and then. I hope you enjoyed this session.
Great. I think the sound of the applause should tell, you know, they should require a standing ovation, I guess, right? Wonderful, right? Great stuff. So I'll request Kamal Agarwala to present mementos to the panel here.
Thank you so much. It took 2 years for Kunal to come. 2 years back, he had a ticket, and he's starting.
So that ticket got postponed, huh? Okay.
Thank you, Vasant.
Yeah.
I knew
Awesome job. Pallav.
Pallav is our hometown guy.
Wonderful. Great stuff. Thank you so much, panel.